This is the last time my Tesla will be plugged in for the foreseeable future. I bought this stupid pair of scissors just for the thumbnail, so y'all better cut it out, quit playing, like the video and subscribe, because I wasted my money on this cheap pair of scissors that should not be doing stuff like this. I can't even cut my head off either. Like, look at that. What kind of scissors do that? So guys, as you can see, I'm doing a little YouTube test. I have my car unplugged, and I'm not plugging it back in until we reach about 0 miles. So right now we have 291, 292 miles. It kind of keeps going up and down. My commute to work is about 10 miles one way, 20 miles both ways. And if you divide it out and do the math, that means I can, in theory, get about 14 days of range. And I know that's not the case because with Teslas, you do have phantom drain a little bit, and then of course I'm going to be driving around other places as well, but I am very curious to see what type of range I can get, how many days it will last. Like I said, I have a new trip set up right there. We're going to see if the miles will match the miles there and how many days it will take to get pretty close to 0. So guys, Monday is over, at least in terms of my work day. Like I mentioned, my commute to work is about 10 miles, so 20 miles total per day. I did stop to go to Walmart for lunch to pick up some stuff. But overall, I'm really happy. The watt hours per mile is super low. From what I've read, if you can stay around 240, your miles driven will equal basically your miles subtracted there. But of course, there is a little bit of phantom drain during the day. And it's like really hard to calculate phantom drain at work for today because like I said, I did go to Walmart and it was like literally across the street, but a lot of the power used is probably just like idling, using the AC and stuff like that. But I bought my lunch for the rest of the week. So from this point forward, when I go to work, I'm literally going to get to work around 8:30, leave at 5:30. And every single day I'm going to report on the phantom drain. And it's just going to be interesting to see if it's pretty consistent. And I'm also going to report on phantom drain overnight. So right before I go to bed, or basically the last time I use the car for the day, I'll notate the power, and then I'll notate the power when I go up as well. I'm curious to see phantom drain overnight. I know the car does go into like deep sleep after a while. So if I didn't touch the car for days and days and days, the drain level would probably even out. But yeah, I'm all just very curious. This video, as much as it is for you guys, like it's for me too. Like I'm very curious. And two, since the whole point of this video is to maximize range, I did turn off a few things. So in safety and security, y'all may yell at me, but I turned off Sentry mode because that uses a ton of power. And I also have cabin overheat protection turned off as well. Now, the reason I have this stuff turned off is because the power that cabin overheat protection will use and then the power that Sentry mode will use really is going to vary person to person based on, one, the temperature of the outside, and two, if you're in a busy area. Like, if I park my car at work, don't disable Sentry mode, literally every single car could set it off, etc., etc. And at home, like, my car is in a locked garage, my house has cameras, so there's not really point in having Sentry mode. But, like, this video is just to see how much range we can squeeze out of this car. How many days can we go without charging? I live in Florida, so, like, the worst case scenario would be, like, a hurricane coming. And we've had times where, you know, we have been out of power for, like, a week. So I want to see, like, worst case scenario, could I drive to work, have no power at home and still be good for a week? I mean, in that case, I would probably be going to work and stealing their power. But yeah, this will be interesting. Guys, I literally almost plugged my car in out of habit. So what I'm gonna do is unplug this so I don't get the temptation. And I'm just gonna put this in my front of my vehicle. So I'm going to keep my charger in there for the week so I'm not tempted, or not even tempted, just out of habit do it. And yes, over here I do have another charger, but this is the connector for when I had my Chevy Volt. So this requires an adapter to use with the Tesla. So I would have to physically put the adapter up here to do it. And I'm not going to like absent-mindedly do that. And also, it's unplugged anyway. I need to just eventually just take it off the wall. Because it didn't work very well with the Tesla adapter anyway. Sometimes it would like time out, give errors. The just built-in mobile connector works way better for me. So guys, this is day 2. And I ended up getting home last night around like 5:30ish from work. We had 269 miles of range on the vehicle. So I woke up this morning. I'm in my car. It is now 8 o'clock. So over 12 hours later, you know, like about 15 hours. And we're at 267 miles. So we have 267 miles of range. So not bad at all. Not much bad battery drain. I do question, like, if this wasn't connected to my home Wi-Fi, and I had connectivity, like, fully turned off, and if I let the car sit for even longer, like, I feel like the range would be less than 2 miles, like, in, like, a 12-hour period, you know? Like, it slowly tapers down, like I've mentioned. But anyway, we're going to continue our day. I'm going to keep you guys updated. Like I mentioned yesterday, I bought lunches for work all week, so basically this car is going to sit at work all day, you know, for 8.5 hours. So I'm going to report on the battery drain all week. We're going to just see how far we can get. And also, too, I noticed this. I'm kind of dumb. So yesterday I specifically made a trip setting called YouTube Test so we can keep track of the whole week. But there's also since last charge. So this can kind of like show you that I haven't charged. But we can pretty much go by that. But, you know, throughout the test, I'll go back and forth just so you can see I'm not like playing any games or anything like that. So these are the stats that I got to work with. 258 miles. So basically we used about 9 miles of range, which is pretty accurate because it's like 9.5, 10 miles for me to get to work. But what I'm really impressed about is our watt-hour per mile efficiency. That's really low. So if we keep going that way, this should basically match our starting mileage when we are done with this video. So I'm really curious to see how far we can push this number. So today's the first day where I parked at work. It stayed in the whole spot. I didn't drive anywhere. And pretty surprisingly, there was no drain at all. So I got here, it was 258 miles. 250 miles of range left. That's pretty good. It was sitting for about 8 to 9 hours. That's great. This is my efficiency right here, if you're just curious. This is my statistics after work on the second day. 246 miles left. 42.3 miles total. Watt hours per mile to 11. So this is the end of day 3, me getting home from work. That's the total mileage, kilowatt hour, and watt hours per mile efficiency. All really good. Here's the range. So if you take the original mileage of 291, subtract what we actually went, we should, in theory, be at 229 miles of range, which actually that's really good for it being that close because if you count 3 days worth of phantom drain at night, it's at least 2 miles there. And then during the day at work, it's either like between 0 and a few miles, just depending on what I'm doing. My biggest thing, I'm very curious to see how big a number this can get. I'm very curious how efficient this can stay, because so far this has been very, very efficient. So guys, this is day 4 of me being unplugged. Don't mind the skeleton. Obviously, it's Halloween. Or I just had a mental breakdown or something, or both, who knows. Interesting thing, we're starting the day at 220 miles, which is another 2 miles of phantom drain at night. So I'm enjoying the consistency of the phantom drain. This light is annoying me. It's like right on my face. So every night, it's like I can expect 2 miles of phantom drain. When I'm at work, if I'm not going anywhere, I can expect like 0 to 1 miles of phantom drain there. So I'm loving the predictable it is, you know? So we're going to keep going. You know, we're on day 4. I posted on Twitter a poll. Some of y'all didn't even think I would make it to day 4, so we'll see. We're going to keep on going. I mean, I really think we can get to like day 8 and beyond. So I just wanted to show you guys this. So I went out to eat today. I just went through a drive-thru. But look at the watt hours per mile. So the efficiency is crazy bad compared to my normal average. And it might have actually brought down my average a little bit, or, you know, brought the number up a little bit. But this is what happens when you drive to a drive-through and sit in the car forever. Your AC is blasting and your car's using power, so you're not going anywhere, so your watt hour per mile is way higher. And then two, just to point out, I left with 210 miles of range, and now I have 206. So I used up 4 actual miles, but I didn't even drive 2. So that's just something to point out when you're trying to, you know, conserve range and make your car last as long as possible if you don't have access to a plug. So this is where we're at the end of the day. On the 4th day, there's the total mileage. There is the mileage remaining. If you subtract where we started, that should be the official mileage remaining based on how many miles we've driven. But that's pretty close. We're actually doing pretty good. So I'm actually not sure what happened here. So I woke up today. Today's the 5th day, and we're at 190 miles. And according to my notes, I got home yesterday, and it was 196. So that's 6 miles of phantom drain in about a 12 to like 15 hour period. So that's way more than typical, because before I was reporting like an even 2 hours per night. So like, I'm not sure if the Tesla was like uploading stuff or trying to download updates, doing some battery maintenance. I have no idea. It's just interesting. I was kind of content on how consistent it was, but then last night it wasn't consistent, so whatever. So yesterday I got home around 5 o'clock. It was 138, and now it's 137, so that's a little crazy. Only 1 mile phantom drain. Don't really know how to predict that. Maybe if your miles get lower, it does less, you know, battery cooling and heating and maintenance and stuff, and tries to retain as much power as possible. I have no idea. But this is day 6. While a lot of people thought the car would only last a week, you know, we still have a ton of time to go. So if you divide the original 291 miles divided by 2, that's 145. So, I mean, we've only literally used about half of the range in a week, which is really good. So we can easily make this to 10 days, unless, you know, this weekend I decided to drive somewhere farther away. Then of course I would use up all the range. So today is day 7 of my test. I've actually been driving around a little bit today. But this is where we're at right now. We're at 98 miles of range left. You can see the total time since last charge is 163 miles. So if you add 163 to 98, that's not anywhere close to the original 291, but that's expected. And honestly, the gap was only about 20 miles. But what was getting me this weekend is when I was at home, I was constantly checking the app on my phone, which would basically wake the car up, use pretty much a mile of range. There's an update out that's supposed to increase your performance by 5%. It's supposed to add regenerative braking, like all the way to a stopping point nearly. And then there's a few other features as well and improvements. But I keep checking, I keep getting in the car, and it still says it's up to date. And honestly, like at this point, geez, like how many more days can I make it? So my typical days to work is like 20 miles, and depending what I do after work, I may or may not have to do anything. So 20, 40, 60, 81, a really good, and you know I couldn't get 5 days out of 100 miles because there is the approximately 2 miles of phantom drain at night. I could maybe get 10 days total out of this, like comfortably. I could maybe stretch it a little bit, but honestly, like once the battery hits yellow, that's probably when I'm just going to end the challenge and charge it, which yellow is 20%. So guys, the point of this challenge is to simulate, you know, my normal life. And currently, my normal life right now involves me wanting to go to Popeyes and get their chicken sandwich because it came back out today. And we have 95 miles of range right now, and I anticipate the line being kind of long, so we will see how much range I actually lose waiting in line. I'm thinking I might just actually just have a fun-filled day of driving, just get the range down as low as possible. We'll check out the efficiency and all that and just see what's going on. I am weird and like bubble tea, and there's no bubble tea places around here, so I'm going to try to find some bubble tea, but that's going to take about a 50 total mile drive, so that should get our range down pretty low. So we're in the drive-thru with 202 watt-hours a mile, 90 miles of range. Let's see where we're at by the time we get this freaking sandwich. So I was in line for like literally a good 30 minutes, got the goods, but you can see the watt-hours per mile. The efficiency got really bad. I only used 3 miles of range, but when you're not going anywhere, the efficiency goes way down in terms of the number going up. But I got the goodness, so all is well. So I'm probably doing something really stupid, but I'm going to use my last bit of battery to go get some bubble tea. When I get back, it says I'll have 8%. So I got to my place where I'm getting my tea. The range on the car is 55 miles, and it says that we're going to get back home with 9% remaining. That's a little crazy. I've never really gotten the car down that low. And then two, I noticed you can't even keep climate on because it says battery must be greater than 20%. So 55 miles equals 17% battery. So we're getting pretty low, but we're gonna head home after this. I got home, 9% battery, 30 miles of range. Oh my God, I was about to literally upload the video and I forgot to show the last statistics. I would have been mad at myself because that was the whole point of this video. So, luckily, I still have the thing saved. So as you can see, the car is charging. So if we check time since last charge, that's all reset. So luckily I did make the YouTube test. So this, ooh, look at the OCD of this. I love that. So we went 222 miles and we used 222 watt-hours mile efficiency. Pretty good. Nowhere close to the original 291. I think we ended this test at 30 miles of range left. So if you had 30 to this, it would be 252. So that's about 40 miles off of the original range calculation at the beginning. But again, not the worst thing in the world. I'll deal with that. And you can see my lifetime watt-hours per mile is 242, but that includes some pretty long road trips as well. The big thing that saved me with this is that when I drive to work, and a lot of places around town, I really don't go on the highway. The only time I went on the highway during this whole test is when I drove an absurd distance just to get some bubble tea. But very happy with that. Also, too, if you're curious, 49 kilowatt hours, the amount of money that I paid to power this vehicle is ridiculously cheap. Through my electric company, at the most, rounding up, it's 0.11 cents per kilowatt. So if we multiply that by 49 kilowatts, it cost me $5.39 to drive for 7 days. That is ridiculous. I do realize that there are, electricity isn't 100% efficient, so me plugging in the vehicle, the 49 kilowatts coming from the wall, going into the battery isn't going to be 100% there. So, if you want to round up a little bit, say it cost me $6 to drive this car for the week, that is insane, because in the past, in my high school days, you drive your friends around, you'd want gas money. If someone gave you $5, you would be offended. Now if someone gave me $5, I'd still be offended, but at least I would know it would go to my electric bill for this car for a week's worth of driving. That is insane. That's one of the coolest things that I learned from this experiment as well. How cheap it is to drive this. That Volkswagen Beetle out there that I'm literally going to be getting rid of very soon because it just sits around. That car would have been at least 5 times more expensive. A week's worth of driving, I always spent $25 in gas, so definitely worth the savings, despite the Tesla being a little bit more expensive. I'd say 9% battery. Like, I'm not going to try to go anywhere with that. It would be foolish of me to leave the house when I have the ability to charge with 9% battery. Like, the challenge is over. I could probably make it to work and back one more day, but it would be cutting it super close. So yeah, let's charge it. Let's just see how long it takes to charge back to 90%. I'm gonna wait for the amps to ramp up all the way to 32, but it looks like it's gonna take 9 hours to charge. So the thing that worries me for people that don't have charging at home for EVs, like if they would basically use this car for a week and then go to a supercharger and charge, or go to some level 2 charger and charge, and I'm not sure how you would leave your car for 9 hours. I don't know, maybe you have a charger at school and you can just like leave it at school all day, or you can leave it at work one day a week. I have no idea. But the biggest concern for me is if there's ever an emergency. My car was at 10% battery and I had to like drive to the hospital or drive somewhere, and if you don't have a supercharger on the way, like in an emergency situation, it could just really be a big pain in the butt. So I'm glad I have the ability to charge every day. Yes, I do feel kind of like tethered to that cord, because every day it's just the habit to plug it in, and that's just the beauty of EVs. You can do it and it doesn't really hurt anything. Charging, you don't need to charge to 100%, which would damage the battery, but if you charge to 80 or 90%, it's perfectly fine. Even the manual states, like when the car is parked, if you have the option to, you should be charging. It just helps the car regulate the battery and everything much better. So I am glad this challenge is over. I know now I can go a full week charging my car. It was easy. And I didn't just go from home to work. I drove 50 miles just to get some freaking tea. And then too, like various days after work, I'd have appointments or do errands, so it wasn't strictly just working back. So if your commute isn't crazy long, you could probably last the same amount of time. This week taught me a lot. It taught me that if the power's ever out at the house for a few days, I'll survive. It taught me if I ever drive out of town and stay with friends or family or at a hotel without a charger, I'll survive. But it did also teach me that I do enjoy EVs. I do enjoy plugging in every day, because having that, full tank of charge every single day is the benefit of EV. So if you can do it, do it. And if you don't have the ability to charge at home, it definitely hinders the benefits of EVs. Like, Teslas are really great cars. So, but I really would question how great they would be if I had to go out of the way to charge somewhere. Like, if I did have to drive a whole week without charging and then find a charger once a week and then just sit in the car while it charges, would that be that cool to me? Probably not. But to each his own. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Have a great day. Bye.